Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. Today is December 22nd, 2012, and the doomsday of the end of the Mayan calendar has come and gone, and we're all still here. And of course, one thing that I was gratified by in the lunacy surrounding this whole scenario is that it didn't seem to me that there were all that many people who were getting really worked up and crazy about it, except for some young people who it seemed to affect a little bit more than others. So I'm glad the day has passed, even though I'm hearing now that supposedly calculations were wrong and of course they're going to move the date. This is just more of the same kind of shenanigans that any of these people who are in positions of power or positions to manipulate people attempt to do in order to keep the meme running so that they can capitalize on it for whatever reason that they have. And so it goes. But of course we're coming up and fast approaching 2013, and we have very real issues and very real problems that are happening to us every day, and will continue to do so in the future. Now, as you know, as people who watch my videos know, I mainly focus on economics and politics on this particular format that I have here on YouTube. And of course, I try to point out things so that people understand, to the best of my ability, the way I see things as being a truthful representation of how I have constructed the outcomes and the moves and what have you of people in positions of power. And it has been my goal to try to illustrate to people that the real power makers, the real movers and shakers behind society have nothing to do with the government, and that what we have in actuality is the transnational global corporations that actually run the show. They tell the politicians what they want to have done. And the politicians do it. They enact laws, they do things to the benefit of corporations. This is no less true now than it ever has been. In fact, it is getting more and more so. What we have to look forward to in 2013 is probably the Trans-Pacific Partnership. More on that in a moment. But first we're talking about the fiscal cliff and how this is going to come into effect on January 1st and gradually lead to increased taxation and other things on people around the country. And there's a scrambling now amidst the so-called politicians to come up with a solution. And I would like to remind you all, as what I've said before, about Obama being a backstabbing, lying son of a bitch. Okay? Now, for all of the people who lined up to support him again because they just couldn't handle having someone as miserable, horrible, and disgusting as Mitt Romney as president, rather than just withholding their vote. Because I would not vote for somebody that I knew was a backstabbing piece of shit. That's just me. Obama proved it over the last 4 years, and the next 4 years is going to be more of the same. And I hate to tell all of you who still want to believe that Obama somehow is going to do something good for you and make up excuses for him, you're in for a rude awakening if you can break out of the illusory trance that you're in. Let me give you the litany. During the campaign, just like in the 2008 campaign, Obama made many promises. I'm not going to revisit the 2008 promises. Let's just put it this way. Nowhere to be seen in Wisconsin, nothing said in any aggressive or reproachful way to what was going on in Wisconsin with the collective bargaining attack up there. Virtually nothing said or done about the actions of Michigan, nothing done about Ohio, and direct attacks from his administration on unionized teachers. That's that. In this particular campaign, Obama says, I am not going to budge on the idea that I want higher taxes on everybody making over $250,000 a year. That is non-negotiable, and he will not compromise. Well, guess what? Without even having a real non-lunatic plan being offered by the fascist, neo-Confederate, fucking right-wing zombie motherfuckers, he has already caved on that position. Now he has upped that to 400,000. Okay? Now, in addition to this, he has already said that he is willing to use the chain CPI model for Social Security benefits in the future, which means guaranteed that seniors and the disabled will get less and less and less money as time goes by until eventually they are left in dire straits. And this is a big solution to the deficit and debt. And as I've said before, and I will say again for people who just can't understand it, okay, these Social Security and Medicare are off-budget items. That means they have nothing to fucking do with the fucking budget, or the fucking deficit, or the fucking debt. Period. And bringing them into any discussion that is supposedly about the fucking deficit, the fucking debt, or the fucking budget is not only unwarranted, it is also a direct and sinister attack by Obama, who is the one proposing this, on the people who rallied in support of him because they were fearful of the lunatic Mitt Romney. And this is the thanks you get. You even have some liberal columnists, so-called liberals, talking about how this isn't such a bad thing, that in the grand scheme of things, this is the least worst of the solutions. Well, once again, we're to the lesser of two evils. Why does Obama pre-compromise? Because his position is virtually the same as the Republicans. And if you don't believe that, how can you deny it? As Salon reported in their article, showing how Obama and Geithner and his administration flatly rejected an already negotiated from the Bush administration plan to have the banks write down mortgages that had tanked so that homeowners would be alleviated of a significant portion of their debt, because they wanted to save the banks. And that's exactly what they did. And they said, fuck you collectively to every homeowner in the entire fucking country. And now you have a situation where HSBC is not indicted because they're too big to fail. Therefore, what this in effect says is that these banks, because they're quote unquote too big to fail, can engage in any activity and fear no kind of prosecution, because that prosecution may put tremblers through the financial system, and we can't have that. So, major Wall Street banks, listen up. Go out and loot, murder, rob, kill, and pillage at fucking will, because no one is going to do anything to stop you, because it might put some waves in a shaky financial system. But God forbid I miss a mortgage payment, or you miss a car payment, them motherfuckers are going to swoop down on you like a fucking bunch of goddamn vultures, ready to peck your fucking eyes out and dig out your motherfucking liver. And you'll be sleeping in a fucking cardboard box, because they don't give one fucking shit about you. Now, let me tell you something else. Mr. Obama, so-called Mr. Wolf in sheep's clothing, so-called leftist, so-called liberal. Fuck you. Fuck all of you fuckers that think he is. And he comes out in the wake of the Sandy Hook Elementary terrible fucking tragedy, and wants to jump on the gun control bandwagon. Well, that's fine. He uses this for political fodder. Every politician does that. I can't fault him any more than any other politician for using death and misery to further a political agenda. However, I will say this. Nothing significant is going to come out of this. It's all going to be talk. because a lot of these huge corporations, you know, they don't really care about this issue because they don't care about kids dying in schools. They don't. They don't care how many people die anywhere as a direct or indirect result of their actions. And because they manufacture and sell weapons, and this is the biggest market for them in the United States, those weapons are going to continue to be manufactured and sold. Period. End of discussion. And as I posted on Facebook a couple days ago, I would say this to the asshole idiots who listen to Alex Jones, and even Alex Jones himself. Listen up closely, my friend. Some crazy idiot could go, and let me clarify this for everybody who thinks I don't get it. Okay? I have not yet looked into all the details of Sandy Hook, but it's quite clear there are many, many, many inconsistencies in the official story that need to be sussed out, and I will be doing that, and I will present that information to you. There is no question they arrested somebody in the woods that may or may not be connected. Nobody says anything about this. Early reports said an assault rifle was in his vehicle, and then they went to great pains later on to say that the assault weapon was used in the shooting, and even went so far as to say they found 223 shell casings all around the school, indicating that, oh, it's absolute certain. Okay, but first they said the assault weapon, quote unquote, was in the vehicle. Okay. And of course, let's not even go down the road of naming his brother and then some other guy named Ryan Lanza being targeted on Facebook, even though it was neither of them people, and etc. And the dad being with GE and Ernst & Young, and the brother being with Ernst & Young, and all this other kind of stuff. Okay, I'm going to look into that, and I'll present the whole picture to you. Okay, but I don't want to get sidetracked into that right now. I just want all of you who think that I don't understand that this might be some kind of, incipient conspiracy, that I get it. I'll be doing something about that, just not right now. Now, he uses this for political gain, that's fine. And as I said, the corporations, they make and sell the guns, they're not coming for them. Okay, and for Alex Jones and all the sycophantic, moronic fucking retards who just don't get it, okay, they're not coming for your guns. But I will tell you this, like I said in the Facebook post, if, God forbid, and I certainly don't want this or wish for it in any way, but if, God forbid, there is another mass shooting and it takes out the board of directors and the CEO of Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan Chase or someplace like that, well then, my friends, there would be a hue and cry for the government to actually swoop down and come and take your guns away from you. Because once these powerful people are in the crosshairs, then it will become an issue that's important to them. Why? Because they're psychopathic. And the only thing they care about is themselves. When their lives are in jeopardy, when their wealth, their power, and all the things that they have built their life around is put in jeopardy, that is when they will tell the politicians that it is time to do something. That's a fact, Jack. And right now, no one's coming for your guns. There will be some palliative measures done. Probably an assault weapons ban, probably a ban on high-capacity magazines, after some clown show back and forth, blah, 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 from gun rights, blah, blah, and stupid NRA, and blah, 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 idiocy. And that's exactly what you'll see. Okay? Now, so get it through your head. All right? Now, what Obama is going to continue to do is foster in this austerity program, which is the technocratic ideal, which has been done in certain places in Europe as a test case. And I might have mentioned this before, but Greece was an example of this, where the idea is to put as much stress and austerity on the people as can be achieved without them going into open armed rebellion against the government. And apparently they've come to that precipitous edge in Greece. And that's what we have to look forward to in this country. Of course, they will have to move a little more slowly here, okay, but you're going to see it nonetheless. And we're going to move in the same kind of austerity regime that Greece is seeing, that Spain is seeing, and some other countries in Europe are seeing. Okay, that's a fact. and that's where it's headed. Obama is going to be the absolute flag bearer on this. Okay, make no mistake. And all he'll talk about is shared sacrifice. Well, there is no shared sacrifice. Making the disabled and seniors have to bear the burden for costs, and middle-class taxpayers bear the burden for costs involved in things that they have contributed nothing to, is absolute lunacy. But that's, this is the rhetoric you'll hear. Shared sacrifice. Well, shared sacrifice, yeah, right. The rich pay nothing and everybody else pays through the fucking nose. That's shared sacrifice in the corporate mindset that Obama operates under. Now, Obama saying how terrible it is that we lost our children in Sandy Hook is the most idiotic hypocrisy that I could ever hear in my entire fucking life from this man who conducts drone strikes in countries that we don't even know about. We can't even get a list of the dead. We don't even know how many children have been murdered as collateral damage in supposedly going after supposed terrorists. We have no idea how many innocent people have been murdered as a direct result of the orders of this president in other countries. And somehow the 22 children who were lost in Sandy Hook Elementary School, as tragic and as terrible as that is, somehow those lives are somehow more important than all of the children around the world murdered as a direct result of this murderous fucking shitbag that we have as a president. And he's going to sit up there hypocritically and pretend like he cares about the lives of children. Give me a fucking break. And the killing is going to continue. And the death of children around the world is going to continue. And sadly, deaths of children in this country will continue to happen as well. Because he doesn't give a shit. He never gave a shit. And he never will give a shit. As long as he's signing those orders and giving those orders to have those drone strikes and have those assaults and have everything else that he's happening all over the fucking world, it's going to continue to happen. Innocents will continue to lose their lives as a direct result of this supposed liberal president, who is one of the worst butcherers that we've had as president. Because, you want to know why? Because he is gone over and above even the sycophantic psychopath George W. Bush in his so-called war against terror. So what does 2013 hold for us? Well, as I said earlier, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which will be sort of like the final nail in the coffin of the economy in this country, and it will also put the final peg in place of the corporate domination of the planet. And let me point this out to you once again. There is no New World Order coming, you understand? So when Alex Jones and other people like him talk about fighting the New World Order, all they're doing is iterating the kind of far-right fascist bullshit to make you think that somehow the UN and some world government is going to swoop down on us someday and take away our sovereignty. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Never, never, never. The UN is toothless. It always will be toothless. There is never going to be a New World Order government, a total government over the whole world. Do you want to know why? Because it goes against the interests of the corporations. The corporations like little balkanized states all over the world. As many of them as they can have. Because then they can pit those states against each other and the costs of their labor pools in deals that they make. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is just the final one, where it virtually gives governmental power to corporations outside of the governmental system. It gives corporations the power to sue governments whenever they fail to provide the benefits to the corporations that they have written into the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And even more egregious things. Okay, so that will be the end of that. And your government is going to stay in place. It's still going to be making laws. We're going to still be the sovereign United States of America. Okay? And we're still going to be in a race to the bottom with all the other countries around the world. The New World Order is here now. The war is over. It's won. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, when it comes into full effect, will be the final thing in that vein. You'll see some other free trade agreements come up as well with other zones around the world. But basically this one is going to be the end because it's open. Anybody can join anytime they want. And that means all the rest of Southeast Asia can join in, and all these other very small countries and all these labor pools can be pitted against each other, and the corporations can rape and pillage at will and with absolutely no legal oversight of them whatsoever. And governments will be in total domination to them. There is no need, and it is counterproductive to have a one world government in this corporate multinational fucking shithole that we call Earth. Because when everybody is under one government, the entire labor pool is the same. You can't pit it against anybody. So they have to race to the bottom until they get people to work, just like in the austerity program. They want to get people to work for the least amount of money before they say, fuck it, I ain't working no more. Once they reach that fine line, that's when that will end. And it's not going to end anytime soon, I fear, because this program has been working so long. That's why I look at this from an economic populist situation. That's why I look at it from the point of view of trying to point out actual real actions that could be taken to avert the financial calamities that are coming. And I talk about issues that could be pushed through, that people could fight for, because they actually are real solutions, like a Wall Street transaction tax. I even say this, if we had a president who was a real president, everybody talks about the NDAA, which is a derivative of the NDRPA, which is the National Resource Defense Preparedness Act, which has been on the books for a long time. If you want to talk about strategic importance and about the country itself, the president could, if the president were inclined to do so, he could use the power in that act to actually take over with no congressional oversight, with nothing. He could just declare that because the economy of the United States is a national security matter, that he is taking over the Federal Reserve. He could take it over and force it to fund state and municipal programs and to fund a get everybody back to fucking work on a living wage fucking program in this country because it's deemed a national security matter. And he could use it to fund as much as is needed in infrastructure repair around this country, because certainly that is a matter of importance to the entire country. But of course that's not going to happen, because that's not the way things run, and that's not the president that you have. The president that you have is in thrall to Wall Street and the big banks. And that's the way it's going to continue. And any kind of funding that is done will simply be to prop up a disintegrating system and to keep the coffers of the rich full. When it comes to the fiscal cliff, I hope that we go over, into January without any kind of resolution, because it seems to me that there would be more pressure to, extending the things for the middle class after the first of the year. And a lot of other progressives believe this to be the case as well. So my prediction, because Obama is a Wall Street sock puppet, and that the right is so indebted to the neo-Confederate fascist corporate domination that they love so much, and that's where they get all their money from too, that they will scramble to make a deal before the end of the year that will gut and eviscerate as many people as they can, because it will be perceived by the lunatic idiots who think that Obama is doing something good for them, that he just had to make those hard decisions, like using the chain CPI model for future Social Security benefits, and cutting more from Medicare, while trying to say that it's savings, when it will absolutely go towards more money out of pocket for seniors who cannot afford it, which means they will not get their drugs that they need, they will not get the care that they need, which will eventually lead to more sickness and eventually death. Period. End of discussion. Same thing goes for Social Security. You're going to see people who are actually going to be eating cat food. It's just a fact. And they'll act like this was a tough decision, but he had to do it. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. And remember, this is the pre-compromise. This is the pre-compromiser extraordinaire. Even without the lunatics on the right offering anything halfway serious, he's already compromising. Since Boner says $1 million, anybody over $1 million should get their taxes raised, then maybe we might be thinking about that. Well, of course, that's going to fall through too, because the lunatics that are under him, as crazy and fucking retarded as John Boner is, the lunatics that are in the House simply won't accept that either. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see all of the tax cuts extended forever. Or at least extended until they revamp the tax code so that they fuck us in the middle class even more, seniors even more, Medicare and Social Security even more, while maintaining the balance of power and the balance of wealth to all of the richest people and corporations in this country. So when you see the compromise happen, marvel at how the people who still want to believe that Obama is somehow doing the best he can, and realize, finally, that he's a stooge just like all the rest of them. He may not act as crazy as some of the people on the right, but make no mistake, he's working for the very same people. And mark my words right now, the infrastructure of this country is falling apart. If this is not a matter of national importance, then nothing is. So, if you had an actual president that cared about anything, he could, right this very minute, use the executive authority he has through the NDRPA to take over the Federal Reserve and force it to finance everything that needs to be done in this country. He won't, because he's not a president that cares about the people or anything other than the enrichment of the rich. And everything he does is a clown show tap dance to make it seem like he has to make hard decisions because he's dealing with lunatics. Well, when you pre-compromise and when you even compromise with psychopaths, you've already lost. Thank you. Good day.